It's championship season, baby, and we're looking forward to getting CVAL kicked off and everyone moving on as best as they can here, Jackson, to see if they can make it on into the LAN at the end of May. Technically June 1st for Valorant, but we won't get too seriously here. My name's Infernosis, joined here wonderfully once again by Jackson. It's a pleasure being here, and this weekend is the start of everything for us. For map selection, we're starting off first with Pearl. Ascent and Fracture were banned off the rip. Icebox and Haven were banned later. You see Lotus as our secondary map and Split for our finale. Overall, they're gonna have to make the rotate fairly quickly here. They'll have all 4 players that are still remaining to do so, but if Icewall goes off, like you mentioned, it gives a bit of information and the team will start to rotate in. The question will be, how many will split off? Likely a 2-2. Maybe you have 1 player go all the way through Disco, but timing will be a little bit tight for that rotate. They're going to stack 3 players close to Spike before falling back off of Psyche. Keep in mind, it is a pistol round, so guns don't have... there's no advantage, truly, in capacity, and the overall utility that is available will be limited, if any. But you do have that Arc Rose, maybe looking to use that off in towards back Cubby. Wadi will take a couple steps back, really worried about that 0-point send out from Baker. No one yet having been pushed, but finally J-Phone tries to get out into the open. Wadi does get one. Nobody has dealt with a player back of Cubby, though, and it's created too many easy sight lines for Baker College to hold on to this point. Yes, you have a Yor who's exceptionally low right now, but JV's not looking so hot either. And in a 1v3, it's just an inevitability at this point, as Baker College will conclude with that first blood in the final, with 3 players left. The Yoru clone to quickly, bring up the Vice wall and try to bait out that utility, but Shooter's hanging quite close, and yeah, Shooter does exactly that. Takes down Demon, and will put Cumberland Phoenix up for the first blood, and another one almost immediately afterwards as ladder moves go down. J-Phone wants to play in, tries to push through Art, and Annihilation goes online for Cumberland Phoenix, and while no one's there for Baker College, it's not going to keep things too strong. Shooter avoiding most of the damage that comes with an updraft, pocketing out towards Cubby and Link. They get a 3rd frag for themselves in the round, hunting for more. Wadi pushes through with the drone, hoping that they can maybe get a bit of information for Shooter, who's hunting for their 4th kill. But both players, Nami and Riceball, are trying to hold the tightest of corners. Sorry, Fate trying to hold the tightest of corners. And this will be an easy rotate in for FSAL. That's 1 player's head. Easy, not the one I was expecting of all things, but the second one soon. Damage off to the tail on Cumberland Phoenix, but past that point, no value for you. And Shooter even shuts down Riceball, who is still lagging off towards B long. FSAL on site, trying to hold into the back. Ladder moves through a smoke, has no problem finding the tracers from those rounds to deal with them. And Ladder moves will make sure that this wall either goes up or they'll get a frag on a JP nearly moments after, as the salvo from Wadi and a Vandal in their hands gets 2. And Nami's now left alone off towards Art. Close assistance of Cubby from ladder moves, but Wadi, what a round from you. It's 4 to your name, and Cumberland Phoenix, that's 4 rounds to their name as a whole. More versatile, shocking to a defender's sightlines because they're TPing every which way, right? That's why they have a lot of value for this map, and their mobility overall is so much higher with these TPs. But a Jet can tailwind in, and a Jet can be super strong, but Demon shuts that down, out-duelisting their duelist, and then a little bit of a matchup. A great flash from J-Phone. The pot flashes have been very clean on the KOs all day. Fate gets 2, but eventually gets refragged by FSAL, and it's a 2-on-3. Baker College in the lead for the brawl now for the retake on site. A jump far away, forcing FSAL to turn. Slow engagement from Nami, but Wadi still has a plenty fine shot to get themselves another, because ladder moves stepped out a bit too soon, and Nami goes down just the same. Phoenix saved in the 13th round of this series by Wadi using the Ghost at quite the distance, and ladder moves trying to set up utility, maybe a little bit past its due date. But it's an A-site take for the most part on a bait. J-Phone is all the way deep out, now close towards Art, watching that close link to A. Yeah, a lot of the defense is kind of bit on that bait for Baker College, but it's not as effective as we saw Baker College's offensive baits go. Cumberland Phoenix don't have the spike down by the time that they're actually making the rotate and staging now for retake on B. Instead, Baker College still have all 5, have a good spot to retake in from. 1 player coming from Disco, and a J-Phone actually coming all the way in from defender spawn and getting a freebie frag of the Bulldog just the same. The only question mark's going to be the 1 player now coming through B long, and look, 2 players for Cumberland Phoenix are watching that direction, waiting to shut down ladder moves, and it's done and dusted. Flawless in nature for Cumberland Phoenix, and you want 1 to 2 kills. And what's the next option in front of you? Well, a bullet to the brain, it feels like, and that's just going to be the difference that comes off of a Yoru to a Jet. Though there's been plenty of good things in front of Shooter. We've seen a lot of value from the Jet pick. There's still plenty of scenarios where maybe the Yoru would have been better. That's just one from we've seen. As look at the rush
Wow.
from Shooter. Bladestorm out, does get Rice ballin'. Wants to step into the smoke, knows there's one close. Gets assistance from J-Phone, able to collect that Phantom on top. And now you've gone a 5-on-3. Everyone with a weapon. Ladder moves was stuck in art. Pincered from 2 ends. One in connector. And not sure what Fate can really do here because they don't have the best of straights. Down they go. And Cumberland go, okay, we gave you 9. But we're very well going to pry up for a flawless to get our 10th. And it's double digits in the
perhaps
future
to get
for
aggressive, see if they can get any early disruption.
They're taking the gamble. They think they're saving, so they want to try to commit. They'll fight up. They'll let everyone into courtyard. This is where you have Shooter with a cross. Does go down, but a player, J-Phone, not too far away. Ladder moves though as a frenzy, and they are snuck and tucked. Shockingly enough, and Rice ball, and it gets another. Now it's just JP. Phoenix, they've fallen into the ferocity of Baker College, but that one, no way! JP comes out of nowhere, lines them both up. They're not expecting them to still be that close.
W key onto a site here. Nami, though, is going to be the site anchor. Smokes off early, gets spotted out by the 0 point, and quickly moves into cover. Cosmic Divide being invested in. Nami with the fadeaway shot onto Shooter. Somehow finds that opening pick. Will that be enough? They will still be able to get the plant down, even though the fragment grenade there, taking a lot of damage onto JP. Ultimate now invested as well to buy some time.
You got a dimensional drift online here. Look at the freebie bits of information you're really hoping for, but it didn't do enough. It's already gone. Rose Garden as well makes it worse. Inch the all weapons back in hand, and Phoenix have a 4-on-5 lockdown. Plays close. This is going to flush everyone back, but you could tell the Cumberland Phoenix knew this was coming.
Yeah.
They can fall all the way back towards long, play to their advantages, and have so much more utility available because Waddy's all the way back towards Disco. Pre-fires through. They're sticking it towards half, trying to whirlpool them off. They're still sticking. They're still on, just barely pulled away. Lining through. One more on. They've got the stack.
Oh!
You can control the majority of sight. Shooter's role and responsibility is tough to manage. But it gets more tough if you can't keep the player count high, and that's where JP goes down. You did get a whole lick of damage off towards Demon with the Roomba finding a huge hit against them, but they're still alive, and Cumberland Phoenix will have to rotate towards A to try to help out J-Phone over here on this Vice and get there as fast as humanly possible, as the offense for Baker College not only still has the toxic screen they can set up and use as a way to cut off top of ropes towards back of sight, but also still plenty of utility for a pistol round of all things, as they'll try to either move as a point to force them to think it's going to a garden, or break down door and even step over to go for a B plant. Is it the trade for fights? And it goes still positively in Baker College's way, and you're praying Waddy can get 2. Look at that! Maybe more! 3! And it's a 1v1! A doppelganger matchup, and look, the rotate's already been made. You're close towards top of B. Spike will go down. Nami will tease it just a moment in B site, forcing you to make the decision, have Sal, if you're going to engage direct for a site and a retake towards B, or maybe hope that they're rotating towards C. Time will tell. Nami had a right click, but I don't think a single round of the right click from the Classic actually made impact, and it cost them the fight against FSAL. Sometimes is what's required, though, and
unlucky RNG there.
It doesn't work one time, doesn't mean it won't work another, but time will tell ultimately if that's going to be the case. Outlaw in hand. At this point, you just need to make impact with a single shot on what's in front of you. Players deep into the back of sight. What an initial push through for Nami and Demon. Spike is still close for the door rotate off towards Mound. FSAL's there, though, and it's not flawless for the Phoenix roster, but it is as close as you can ask for. Only one player.
Very cute play coming out from Fate and Demon there. Luckily, Shooter was there to get the trade out now as they try to fake through tree. J-Phone's going to get spotted out. Luckily, does have the vines to keep them safe. They're going to try and span them out, and they will throw so much utility over there towards that tree side. J-Phone quickly moves out of the way into safety. Ultimate online. Viper's Pit also invested as well, so this is a lot of stall coming out from the side of Baker College. J-Phone gets the pick onto Fate, though, to maintain the numbers advantage.
Unfortunately, you don't get the Viper down in the Viper's Pit. They were tethered as well, to make matters worse. She didn't feel comfortable pushing into that despite the weapon's advantage. Classics are hard to deal with a right click. Free gun, by the way. They can work just as good in some ways. They weren't blessed by it 5 rounds ago. They may have a chance here. Shooter. What a move. Showstopper. I said this is a great counter ult for the Viper's Pits. And while it isn't the way that they deal with it, it flushes them out of it and can guarantee the round win now for Cumberland Phoenix. And you also have to worry about who's going to play the Rays, who's also going to be sharing the role of closing that gap, finding the fights first, and being just as much of a threat as Shooter has been throughout this. The pistol goes to you, Cumberland Phoenix. You now can enforce your rule throughout the rest of this. You've got better weapons, but anyone that did hold back will need to play smart, and it looks like Cumberland Phoenix held back in a pretty large capacity. Both JP and JPhone bring nothing to the table for this round, bar a little bit of utility, and it's still a ghost in their hand, and they just want to try to win this in a fair encounter. Great use of the paranoia. Nobody's able to act fast enough on that if you're Cumberland Phoenix, but Wadi wants to engage through the breach util and gets paid dividends for it. 3 to their name, and you even won the fight off towards C with JPhone, who I said was going to prowl, was going to lurk, was going to be let off a leash, and it's already coming true. Baker College was incapable of shutting down, and that third round of the second half looked pretty darn clean. Even when JP's down to like 5 HP, it doesn't seem like there's a problem. And here's the combo from Cumberland Phoenix. Using the util to flash out, the fade so valuable towards Waterfall, let Shooter close the gap, then boost back in to get upper sight. FSAO can Shrouded Step as well. They close the gap so clinically that Baker College, even if they only lose one, which they have in this round, they don't really have a way to get back onto site super effectively, and the play goes perfect. What a flick for both! JP and FSAO keep Demon and Rice balling at bay, and it's a flawless to this point, and flawless in nature as a whole. Wadi had a Guardian, would have been great at that distance to play a little bit further away. Maybe have a Haunt if it was still in that back pocket. Who knows? But they have Spike, and they can get into the B site for a plant here if they choose to do so, and they'll commit. Wadi now going for this just below a Heaven side, and you have a Waterfall player very close, and this looks to be where you want FSAO to get this kill. They're holding really edged in into the corner with a Phantom, but this didn't go exactly where you wanted it to be. You wanted to sit all the way in the corner. Unfortunately, you just couldn't, and that forces Wadi to prowl for a frag off with Fate's head. No more kills for you in this round, and FSAO wants to go in, needs to hold up and clutch, but Nami gets their doppelganger down, and Wadi has to get a 3K. Smoke above. Nami dropping down. Noise made. Shorty's there. Don't they get the hits? They don't have a chance, and Wadi saves Cumberland Phoenix, requiring 3 to get the job done. Nobody into cubby towards link door. Nobody sitting on staircase, which means they could have stacked towards box if they wanted to. Instead, it's 2 players on site, one at link door finally being there, but it not being broken up to that point, and then kind of stalling. You had bigger questions to be asked, but Rice Ballin pays the price. This is your huge post-plant agent. You don't have them anymore. Knocking down ladder moves, you have your semi-sentinel that's off the board, and you've got Demon, who's got a Bucky and a Prayer with a Sheriff. I'm sure they're good for J-Phone, and there it is. You kind of expect it from this player, but man, oh man, does Baker College look like they're pinned up against a wall, and Cumberland Phoenix are pushing the button to try to win out this series in a 2-0 fashion. Shooter, showstopper. What do you expect? Nami will get the refrag. FSAO up, and Nami's all alone, trapped into the back of hut, can take down JP, but there's FSAO. Omen on Omen, and only one can come out on top, and Cumberland Phoenix rise from the ashes of a somewhat difficult first half to make sure it's them at the end of the day. See you, Phoenix are your winners.